What's going on, everybody? Glad you're here. You are listening to the Genuine Leadership Shift. I'm Austin James Crawford, and we're just here to create a space to talk about some real leadership, hard truths, and the work it takes to do the right thing and be a great person. Let's get into it. Today, we're going to continue a conversation with a connection-driven leader, with a former restaurant operator, Bethany Crawford. And recently, she's back here from Portugal. But before we take on today's conversation, I think that I just want to lay a little bit of context, because this episode isn't entirely about her travel, and it's not about at all escaping from life. And most certainly, it's not stepping away from any sort of responsibility. It's really about what happens after, and the beauty of creating space from a job, from a role, or from just any position in life that may no longer serve you. And then it's choosing to carry forward, right, for greater success. Because leadership, guys, leadership is not about knowing when to push forward. It's more about knowing what to listen to, who to listen to, what to ignore, and honestly, what is worth holding on to as life keeps moving forward. Not every single voice in your life deserves influence, and not every opinion is going to hold or deserve any sort of weight. So especially if that's coming from people who are in life where you don't want to be, or they aren't running the relationships or building leadership that is actually thriving. So today's conversation is more about integration and about what stays with you after we do the work of slowing down. So stick around. We're going to unpack it here for you. All right, welcome back to the Genuine Leadership Shift. And if you are listening or tuning in here for the very first time, I just want to say I'm very, very glad that you are here, because we've got an incredible show lined up for you today. My name is Austin James Crawford. I am a hospitality leader, a coach, a father, a husband. But today I get to be your host. And we're winding down this season here with only a few episodes left. Season 1, though, has really been about foundation, identity, discipline, presence, and the inner work that requires you to lead well. And today's episode is a continuation of a conversation that we started earlier this season. And if you've listened to episode 4, you heard Bethany and I talk about transition and slowing down, and about choosing space even way before clarity fully exists. And so this is part 2. So this is not a teaching episode, it's simply a conversation. I am very grateful that we get to share this episode with you today. And Bethany, I am so very glad that you are here.
Thanks, me too.
All right, let's dive in. All right, so when we recorded part 1, Beth, you were in the middle of just creating a little bit of space. And since then, life has, obviously picked back up with work, rhythm, relationships. And I think having a little bit more awareness now than before, what felt familiar right away, and what, if anything, felt different maybe than before?
I think familiar was feeling at work again, being around people. Different was the pace and not controlling my to-do list and not controlling my schedule.
Was there anything, I guess, easier or harder than you expected?
I don't know if I had any expectations of easier or harder, but it was maybe easier than I thought, jumping back in to be around like-minded people. I realized how much having a to-do list really helps my self feel useful. But on the flip side of that, maybe not jumping all the way back into work has been unexpectedly challenging. Finding moderation, not depending on my contribution to feel fulfilled. there's tasks that can be left on my to-do list that I'm not used to. So just kind of sitting with that and finding that balance is what I think the biggest lesson is going on currently.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's probably got to be a different feeling to the routine, coming from, having all of that time off and just like being with yourself and being in those moments, like, but not having to come back to just a weight or like a heavy load, when you return.
I think, I mean, for me, I don't know if it was getting back into it and as much as it was not jumping fully back in, like not feeling like, okay, my time is over. Now let me get back into work and feel like I'm productive again.
As far as like, I don't know, I guess Portugal, do you feel like making that trip and making that adventure, what did that change or did it, you know, anything that specifically helped make things clearer for you?
For me right now, I don't feel like it's looking back. I think I look at Portugal as a start of where I really tried to focus on what's important to me. I think the biggest adjustment has been sitting with my own stuff and not so much invested in other decisions and just navigating differently than I did before.
And was there anything there that you thought would shift, but just maybe didn't with that trip?
I feel like I realized what's really important for me and who I want to be surrounded by and how I want to mentally engage and prepare for my day. I learned that I have the ability to shift the energy in my own mind and not necessarily absorb the energy of everybody else, or there's just a little bit more autonomy I feel like I have now in controlling my outlook.
So maybe anything that surprised you specifically about yourself while you were there? Like I know that you mentioned there was, some struggles with, language barriers and things like that, but anything that surprised you internally about yourself while you were on this trip?
Yeah, I think maybe the biggest surprise was just the swings of like, yeah, I got this, and to I have no idea what I'm doing and I need help. It was very big. It felt very accomplished when I succeeded, but also there was pride in when I figured stuff out that maybe wasn't going the way that I thought it should be.
So when we had talked before, obviously you were letting go of a version of yourself that had been kind of carrying a lot. And while you were in Portugal, do you feel like you met her differently while being there?
Yeah, I think spending time with only yourself, you really have to talk kindly to yourself and be pleasant to be with, or you're not really going to have a good day. So I think having to sit with some of those things.
Was there, like, I guess, any thought that would shift that you didn't?
I mean, while I was in Portugal, I think it was nice to have to depend upon just myself. Found that I'm definitely more of a team sport kind of person. So navigating by myself was different, but great. And I learned a lot, and it put me in situations that I had to figure out by myself. And nobody was there to celebrate the wins. It was just, okay, you survived.
Some of those self-reflections have got to be, I mean, a little bit surprising for you, or no? Was it like you like?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of it was surprising. I think it shows, just like at work, we can prepare for everything that we can, but we can't control what happens. We can only control how we deal with it. You can have an itinerary, you can have a plan, you can have a thought in your head of how the day is going to go, but you really control how the day goes by navigating situations as they come up, not by always being the most prepared.
So that kind of, do you feel like that was something that you had to like let go, like that version of yourself, obviously with the difference in.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think I like to have everything planned out, knowing exactly what's going to happen, making sure that I know how the day's going to go. But I think what I'm just thinking about a lot now is just traveling in a foreign country. A train can be delayed and you don't know the language and don't know the name of the station and still have to figure it out. Or it is, I mean, as much as a simple travel can seem schedule and organized, things can happen, and it's having to navigate that. It's hard because I feel like there was not some big like revolution or like big change that happened. I think it was all subtle. And I think I'm still processing through some of those moments of clarity that I found while I was there, or moments even of reflection that I still haven't even absorbed yet.
While you were there, do you think there was like anything you just like, did you ever question yourself? Like, was this worth it? Like, should I have done this?
I really don't think so. I mean, I think, I've never really been somebody that has felt homesick before, even going to university and things like that. I've never understood that homesick thing. Um, I think that I missed home more than I ever have before while traveling. So that was maybe, and not even really missed home. I think there was just experiences that I wish that I was sharing with somebody else. Um, but I don't think that there was ever a feeling of I shouldn't be doing this right now.
I mean, I don't really think we talk a lot about, how heavy growth can feel, before it really like frees you. And this is just kind of off the cuff, but do you feel more freed because of that journey, because of taking the season to be in Portugal?
Yeah, I think so. But there's also this. I feel like even just sitting here now, there's a little bit of pressure to have some enlightened words,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I think yes, there was a peace and freedom, and that was wonderful, and I think necessary, and something that I've always wanted to have.
What I take is a conversation that you and I had, having lunch after you came back, just a perspective about, I think you said like just gray days. You had shared something with me there, and whether it be the weather or the light or the sunlight or the energy, some of that sometimes feeling a little bit heavier, especially being, I guess alone. Do you want to share anything about how that impacted you, mentally and emotionally, or can you talk a little bit about, those gray days that you had referenced?
Yeah, I think in our day to day, we just get up, we go do what needs to be done, and that's just it. It's quote unquote Monday through Friday, and here's what you do. And while I was traveling, I think it was interesting to have this expectation of I should feel happy and grateful the entire time because of this experience that I'm able to have. So feeling not as positive as I thought that I should the whole time was interesting. And then correlating that to some other things. I mean, I think one interesting thing that I learned on a walking tour that I took in Portugal was that they don't have a word for seasonal depression. It is the sickness of the cement and I can't remember the Portuguese term for it, but that's what it translates into. And it was really interesting because in kind of learning that on the tour, experiencing that myself, days where it was dark and rainy and cold and just there's a lot of stone and cement, which is just so beautiful, but also can be dark and cold. Definitely, I feel like was affecting my mental ambitions at times. I would wake up and it would be freezing cold and it would be raining, and I'd be like, I don't really want to go outside today. But then also realizing that I think you and I were on the phone a couple of times, and realizing that me complaining about weather is one of the most ridiculous things that I could do. It's weather, and I chose to travel to Portugal, and the weather is what it is. So I think really just understanding that the weather will always change. So it can be sunny and eventually it'll be gray, or it will be raining and it will be sunny again. So
I think it just makes me think a little bit about quote unquote, gray days in life. And we're so quick to label them as a bad day, or a day that we've got to just fix or push through. But I think that sometimes those days are actually asking us to maybe notice a little bit more. Do you feel like that experience changed how you even see adversity as a whole? Maybe something not to avoid. I think you said you have pushing through and just
getting outside anyways. Yeah.
Get outside anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I think it was towards the end of the trip, which also anytime that there's a trip, that's no matter what trip it is, once we're getting on to the final days, I just start to feel sad. So I think that was kind of looming. It was terribly raining and freezing. And I think maybe you and I had spoke on the phone earlier that day. And again, I just was not feeling the most positive, but got my umbrella, went outside and walked around, and eventually it stopped raining and it was sunny again. And I just realized how beautiful it was that I was walking around having these realizations of, I can choose to be outside, I can choose to walk, I can choose to be where I want to be. And I can only control how I think about it or how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think like leaders, right? As leaders in any industry, I think we can all get in trouble a little bit sometimes by when we treat discomfort as a failure, and instead of just actually information. It's like, how is it pinging in our brain, right? To like either push forward or push through, or like, hey, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. Because I feel like a couple of times I felt like I was failing Portugal when I was not embracing all of the wetness and coldness.
Do you think that awareness changes how you understand yourself now? Like,
yeah, because it's all passing. I mean, even doing this, being uncomfortable, it's going to pass, and it will be what we make it to be.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to go buy a second or a third umbrella and figure it out.
Yeah, I only had to buy 2.
So as far as, reinventing yourself, or, do you feel like that was something that was allowed in this moment? Like, do you think that was something that just kind of, I don't know, or did it allow you to maybe even remember something that you had lost touch with?
I don't know if it's really, I don't know if I've really looked at it as reinventing myself. I think maybe just reprioritizing. Just.
Is there any part? Sorry, go ahead.
I think just finding happiness with being here right now, or just in the moment, is what I have maybe missed out on that learning in the past, or stop chasing happiness and being happy with where I am at. And I think that that's kind of this version of reprioritizing, is finding more reasons to be happy and not always chasing it.
I mean, what a cool thing to like feel and know it's just becoming more integrated into who you are. because of the opportunity, just slowing down or, taking and embracing this opportunity and moment. Is there anything that you're now a little bit more protective of because of this, or, this identity shift, or just being able to reinvent yourself a little bit?
I think I just want to protect the people. I think I just want to protect my environment, and I want to be around happy people. And I think that was my goal before, was to be around happy people, I think, but I was putting pressure on myself to create that happiness for others. And I think what I'm trying to protect now is realizing that I can only control so much. But negativity just takes such a toll on everybody, I think, but I know myself well enough now to know that I can turn very negative and I can soak those. I'm not always the best at creating positive, to being the positive within a sea of negative. So I'm just really working hard on being better at that, and also surrounding myself by the people that are like-minded, and I can't fix other people. I can provide advice, or if they ask, or not, but I can't. Somebody else's happiness is not something that we can control.
No, you're right. But I think you nailed it there with that protection or that boundary, right? Like being able to just physically recognize how those emotions or those actions of other people control, how you're or can have an influence, right? But so protecting the influence, or protecting the what you allow in, protecting who who can impact you. I think you mentioned earlier just being around, as you come back and kind of moving into this new role, just how beautiful it is to still be able to be in an environment around people who have the right mindset and the right values, and that you don't have to control that. Like you just get to submerge yourself in those people and in that office and in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's cool. I think that that's a great thing to have integrated.
I think within that too, it also allows for a little bit more vulnerability, because I know that other people's thoughts of, I think I'm just feeling more strength within myself, and being able to be vulnerable without caring what people's judgments or thoughts are. I know what's real. I know what's going on. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but
We know it's right,
yeah,
right?
I know what's right, and I know that if something's not right, it will be fixed. And nothing devastational is going to happen. We'll figure it out.
I think in hospitality, right, it's, hospitality. And obviously you and I spending a lot of time in that industry, it's hospitality, and it's not just how we welcome guests. I think it's how we make room for growth inside relationships, and I think, me personally found some beauty in watching you like go and take this trip. Obviously being here and being without my partner was, different, but I think that it added a layer of strength to what we do and how we relate to each other. And I don't know, I'm just curious what your take is on, how maybe that little bit of space changes how we show up, for each other. Did support look any different? Does grace matter more?
I feel like I have more space for your struggles at work. I feel like, not even struggles, just your stories of work. I feel like asking how your day is or was is a little more heartfelt than before. I've got more room to hear the answer to that, I think. And it's just nice because we don't have the same job anymore. I feel like any part of competitive nature within our jobs I haven't felt that, which has been really nice.
Because I think the similarities in the things that we did and the jobs that we worked through, that commonality was actually a barrier, right? Because I know that we tried to set those boundaries where it's like, okay, we've got 15 minutes and we had 20 minutes and we're only going to talk about work for this long, right? But even in that space, it's still like, I just had an emotionally draining or a very heavy bandwidth day, right? Where it was just everything was required of me, and both you and I would have those days. So then to like rehash them, I can imagine, I just think it's nice to hear, understand. I've felt that for sure. I've definitely felt, the question like, what was your day? Or, I like to say, what was the best part of your day? That definitely, I've seen that a lot more frequently, and it's been nice to for you to, create that space for me too.
Because I think it's more of a partner and not as a quote unquote competitor. It's not like, not, I don't know. I guess I just was maybe a little too competitive.
Yeah, we both know what we're doing. So it's like, well, I could do that different, or I would do that a little bit different. So then there's always that layer of like...
Yeah, but neither one of us want to hear that from the other one when we're talking about our day. Like, oh, why'd you do it that way? I don't know. That's what I did. So it was just, I think it would be like constantly talking to another GM and questioning why they did what they did. Or, the question is different now when I ask you how your day was. And I feel like I'm less kind of guarded before your answer, or not guarded, but.
Or even obligatory, right? Like it's, we have that, how was your day? Versus like the genuine shift behind that for wanting just to know, and then creating that space to actually give it.
Well, there's also a piece of me too that just misses it. I miss the hustle. I miss the craziness of the restaurant until I ask you how your day was and you tell me and I say, okay, great. Don't miss it anymore.
Listen, everything I've shared is like every day is amazing. No, I get it.
It is, but I think, even just watching your day get pulled in a different direction than you anticipated in the morning, or your to-do list not being on your timeline. I think that those were the things that I was struggling with more than I could put together at the time.
It's kind of cool, I guess, to have a different perspective from it, right? From the outside looking in, because I spend my days every day, right, in those moments. And not that I've become used to having my day go completely sideways, or none of my flight plan being able to be executed because of this, and this. That almost has become a norm, but I'm being,
it is. Yeah, it is. It has to be. And I think that that's where I was struggling towards the end of my tenure. It has to be a part of it. It's what our job is, but I was struggling with balancing it. Oh.
Yeah, I know we coach and we talk all the time, like leave space in your calendar, right? Allow space, allow time in your calendar for things to go sideways. And that's just something that we coach and teach because it is essential. But now having an opportunity to be in a different perspective or different framework where you can actually control a little bit more like what that calendar looks like. You don't have to necessarily leave room for a detour. You're not saying that you have full autonomy and control over what happens in your day, but there's a little bit more fluidity and there's a little bit more just a different type of leadership, different type of work. I don't know.
I think there's a little bit more in the restaurants. You have 70 other people that can control how your day goes. And I don't know, negativity is like the only thing, but it's not, I'm not trying to paint a negative picture I don't know. I think it all just boils down to, I went back into where I used to work the other day, and it was so nice to see everybody. And it was just, I don't know, it's just great to be around people that I spent 3 years with, and seeing everybody. However, I don't even know if I can say this, so I'm just going to say it. You can take it out if you want to. There was a couple, it was nice. The people that I saw were the people that I really wanted to see. I didn't have to brace myself to say, hi, how are you, to the people that I know negative is going to come out of their mouths, and that I would still have to smile. And I think that there was a lot more of that happening. I think it's our job as leaders to be steady and be consistent, regardless of the answer to, hi, how are you today? And
Yeah, no, I mean, I can relate to that. I do believe, hospitality is creating space for everybody that we do come into contact, and being, genuine about that. But hospitality is not performative, and you don't have to be obligatorily put into a situation where, you're given a little bit more space in that regard to allow the genuine nature of the people that are within your proximity to really enjoy that relationship, and to make room for that growth with them, rather than having to always make space, for those that want to take and make noise and, like you said, I think steal some of that. And I think that coaching is all a part of that, and getting the best out of people. Ultimately, that is the goal. But when we're allowed to kind of choose and pick and choose, I think that that's a really cool perspective to be able to think about, because we still have that option. I have that option every day, choosing who gets my time, and choosing how much time I give to other people based on where they want to be and what they want to do and what they want to say. But no, I think that that's got to be a really nice relief that you get to just experience that love in that period of your life in just a more cleaner way.
I think that's why I'm just very grateful that the decisions that we made for this career change happened when they did, and not, I left really very grateful and feeling just admiration for the team that we had, feeling proud of what is to come for the team, feeling excited for the new leadership. So I'm just glad that transition was very positive and not past due.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you guys did a lot of work. You did a lot of growth, and you grew a lot. And just because we've been in an environment and learned and cut our teeth there and grown in it, doesn't mean that it's got to stay something that's static. Part of growth is, sometimes, like, we've talked, slowing down to speed up, or stepping back to pivot to go in the right direction, or a more enriching, direction.
And I look at it twofold too. I mean, I think that this was the right change for me personally, but also, it was absolutely necessary for the team.
Yep.
And I think really, I just am grateful for the experience that I've had in all different situations, to know when it was time, before it was too late, to make that decision.
I don't know. I think just watching you and how you carry things forward through this season, there's been some things that have, I think, clarified a little bit for me. And when you talked, I think the word you used was like just negativity, or, energy, and, the team that we're working with, right? We talk a lot about attitude, and how important that is. But how much noise that we actually let in, or how much negativity that we actually let in, is really never meant to guide us, right? Because not every opinion deserves airtime. Not every voice deserves an influence. I guess, especially when it's coming from people who aren't building the kind of life and or relationship and or leadership that you and I think are actually trying to live. So do you believe too that in this space you've been able to change how you listen and or maybe even just who you listen to?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think where I'm at right now is just a little bit more solutions based to negativity. So I think that anybody, I mean, I don't know. I think what I try to do now when I hear negativity is provide some solutions that I might see fit. And if people are not interested in hearing those or continue to just want to live in negativity, is kind of where I can choose to separate a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere we go, people are always going to have an opinion or something to say, and I think it's beautiful to be able to just be more intentional about how we choose and who we choose to listen to, and we are a product of our environments, and we have the ability to control and dictate those, where we allow that space and that time. But maybe moving forward, just kind of, talking about your awareness and as you've, settled back into life and this new leadership role and this new job opportunity, what are you more intentional about not like rushing into? Is there anything that maybe feels different about your pace?
I think maybe just taking the time to learn and grow from experiences. Yeah, I think just sitting with it and being okay with not being the busiest partner, being okay with not being the one that's working the hardest or has the hardest day.
Yeah, I think the thing about, pace, right, is it's intentional, it's a choice. And this, a lot of industries, and especially the one that, we spend a good amount of our life in, rewards responsiveness, rewards, quick, immediate reactions. And, I think what a beautiful place to be able to just kind of control that pace. And because then there's more intentionality, there's more presence in where you are and how you decide quietly to move forward.
Also, too, I think being, you have a good service or you have a situation that was negative in the restaurant that you corrected or that you put back on course or you made a raving fan when there was an opportunity. Those feelings are things that I haven't had since I left 6 weeks ago. So I think trying to find different ways of filling that portion of my cup has been a learning experience. Rearranging our house.
Rearranging, yes. I was certainly a raving fan coming home to some of the arrangements that you made. But that was, I think, even just thinking about that, you were able to slow down long enough to like think about, oh, well, maybe this doesn't logically make sense where this particular thing is placed in our home. And it's not about the change, right? Which can be a little bit jarring and uncomfortable for somebody like myself who has, I don't want to say control issues, but definitely like compulsive nature to like things in a certain way. But I think that the beauty there to me was, yeah, the logic was behind it. And you had the ability where some of maybe my feelings were the jealousy of not being able to intentionally create enough time and space to think about that. And now being able to have that in you to support our home with intention, because this is our space, this is our place, and it doesn't matter where things are located or what direction the table faces.
I just feel like after 5 years here, like I don't know. It does not feel like we've been in our house for 5 years, especially in rearranging things that have been where they were from the moment we got here. And our life has changed.
Mm-mm.
Obviously, we know more about our routine now. So, yeah, and actually logically being able to put thought into where things are in our house was new.
Yeah. I mean, I think, we're flipping through pages of this book we call life, moving into different chapters and navigating those things. And if we aren't intentional about our pace, to slow down long enough to recognize that, reading the words that are on that page and recognizing what's coming next and what chapter we're about to start, you're able to do that. And I think that like, I don't know, there's a value there, regardless of how my emotional ability was to process that in real time. But now just thinking back and sitting with it, right, which is also a reflection to me about sitting and being present. Like, yeah, you reorganized and rearranged the dining room, but sitting in it, literally, physically, allowed me to see what you saw, because I hadn't slowed down long enough to like appreciate that. You're talking like, oh, we're talking about, the grandkids that are coming around the corner, potentially, maybe nothing on the docket yet, but intentionally thought about that. I don't know. I think there's a value there. And I just want to say I appreciate
Thanks.
you having that opportunity to do that for us.
Thanks.
Giving advice and creating invitations, I want to be able to offer maybe somebody who's listening, maybe what voice have they been listening to or giving weight, that was really never ever meant to guide them. Is that something that you would encourage somebody to reflect on or act on, or creating a little bit of space from that?
I think the words that I have for that are just there's something that you don't want to do, don't do it. I think I just have I think what I struggle sometimes is with even myself. We choose every day to do something. We choose to wake up. We choose to go somewhere. We choose to be around other people. We choose to not. It's hard to feel unhappy with choices that you've made without making any changes to it. And it can become a very quick, numbing, hard existence.
Yeah, I guess you don't really have to change or choose everything. I think it's important just to notice it and listen maybe a little bit differently.
Yeah, like notice, are you happy when you wake up? Are you happy when you go to sleep? What do you need to feel happier? Or what mind shift needs to happen to see things in a different way? There's always something to be upset about, but I think that for me, trying to find the things to be happy and proud of is a little bit more important now.
So about Portugal, right? And I mean, I know that we've talked a little bit more about like the underlying tones of all of it, and how this like translates maybe, I don't know if metaphorically is the right word, but, leadership oriented or, mindset oriented, or avoiding negativity. But maybe just giving you space just to kind of like share just like some of the beauty, some of like, because I know that that's likely why a lot of people are tuning in. I mean, I know that there's something we can teach and help coach through this, but I don't know. I just want to maybe just get an opportunity to hear from you. Like, what did you love? What is it?
Yeah, it just, every experience was new. I mean, I think that everything was new. And I don't know if I can ever recall a time where I felt so in awe of or so dialed into every feeling that I had turning a street and seeing the beauty in it, standing on a bridge for 4 hours watching the sunset and not moving. It was beautiful being around the water a couple of times. Just having every day be an experience that I never had before. Again, I think I'm still trying to like process some of those things, but yeah, there's really no words that I can put to how was your trip? Oh, it was great. There's just, I don't know. It was incredible. I think there's such power in traveling. There's such power I found in traveling by myself. I think it was beautiful, all of it. I was moved multiple times. I think there was one time in Nazareth where I texted you immediately and I said, I don't know what you're doing, but you have to FaceTime me in this exact moment. But yeah, there were just, I stood on the same bridge probably 5 or 6 times, and I stood on the same spot in Nazareth 3 times, and every time was just so overwhelmed by the beauty and the culture and the pace and the people. Yeah, it was a lot of core memories were made in that time.
I know you spent like an entire day just like walking down the river and it led to the ocean. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it was a random day where I just getting lost and just finding my way was like fun, because I always knew that I would figure it out. But yeah, this day it was Sunday, and I just started walking and ended up on the river. Just kept following this like beautiful river, the Dora River, this like river walk path. I don't know, some road, and then ended up at the ocean. And then every time I kept thinking I need to turn around and go back, I just was like, okay, well, let's just see what's a little farther. And every step was just more and more beautiful. And yeah, I think you pulled up on GPS where I was, which was quite far from home.
Yeah, I think like just pushing through and making that intentional decision mentally.
But it even wasn't like, I remember a couple times thinking, I need to turn around. Okay, well, I've walked for 5 hours. That means I have a 5-hour walk back home. I should probably turn around. But also, well, I'm standing here in this spot for the first time ever, and I have a choice to go forward or to turn around. Why would I not go forward and just keep seeing what is next? And those, I think, and I tried, I think, pretty well to not plan too many things to allow for those opportunities to come. But yeah, I think that was probably one of the like most apparent days of that. But every day was kind of like that, where I just didn't know what the day was going to bring. I just didn't know what the next step was going to bring.
What a cool trip.
Yeah. And even on that same day, I think, it was on that same day, probably halfway through the day, it's freezing. And I went and sat on some rocks by the ocean. It was beautiful. The waves are crashing. I watched one wave get a little closer. Thought maybe I should probably get off this rock, but I sat there for a little bit longer, got completely drenched by a wave that came in. I think at that point I had a decision. I could have been really sad that I was soaking wet, figured out how to get home immediately, or I got off the rock, went and found some hot coffee, warmed up, and then carried on with my walk, because I wasn't going to turn around just because I got soaked by the ocean.
Well, yeah, because you chose to.
Because I chose to sit. Yeah. Yeah.
You did, like you said earlier, like, there's something that you don't want to do, just like, don't do it. But when it is something that you want to do, regardless of the adversities that do fall in place, like being wet, getting soaked, or having, it rain, or the sun hiding behind a cloud half the day, you get to still choose moving forward in spite of adversity, because maybe you don't really know what it holds on the other side, but you know that it's going to be better. There's a little bit of faith in that. There's a little bit of like, I have enough belief or vision that there's going to be something that I'm going to learn or see or experience that's just going to be worth this adversity.
Mm-hmm.
And fear would tell us normally, hey, I got to just quit this. I can't do this. I can't handle it. I can't be wet. I can't be sad. I can't be I don't know. I just think that that's so cool because that is a decision.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. And I made a decision to put myself in that spot. And then I made a decision on what to do with consequences. I mean, my glasses were covered in salt. But it was such a great experience. And again, it's an experience that I have. Like, it's mine. I was on FaceTime with my sister, so.
You're just, so very fortunate to have been able to feel the weight of that journey and that trip. And, I would encourage other people. Hopefully, I think you would probably say the same. Not necessarily like go get on a flight to Portugal, but like go get on the path to, something you've been hesitating for, or you've been
trust yourself to do it. I mean, I think that Portugal, this trip did come about pretty quickly, I think, but it was my sister hiked the Camino de Santiago.
Mm-hmm.
In her 20s, and something that I'd always been, I want to do that. 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 And I looked it up. I think changing, I want to do that into, I'm going to go do this. Because it's easy to want to do something. But putting it into play and trusting that you're making the right decision.
When you feel passionately about something and also scared about something, you can still, those two things can coincide at the same time. And now we're sitting on the other side of this result. And the other side of this result is so much learned experience, so much beauty. I don't know. So
many times I had to tell myself, do it scared. I almost didn't go to Nazaré.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it was a balance between trusting my gut, but then also realizing my default self-talk at times, and knowing what was true and knowing what wasn't true.
Yeah, our brain wants to like default to comfort, to just like what's familiar. And how funny that the beauty and everything that you got to experience was on the other side of that comfort. And I know we asked you, in episode 4 about kind of a similar question, but today, is there anything still or now with the different perspectives that you have, like, what do you hope future you can continue to thank present you for now that you've actually lived through this season?
I don't know. I think all of it. I think the opportunity to go take an experience that I've never had before. I think carrying the absolute gratitude that I have for the ability to do that, not for all of it, for support from you, from trusting myself to do things scared, the trust within the company that we work for to stick with me through this adventure. So I think I just really want to hold on to the gratitude and excitement for what's next, and not having this be the only time that I run outside of my comfort zone.
I mean, I think you've shared obviously some really cool photos online, and there's been a lot of, great response to that. And, people can see the aesthetic of it, and maybe nobody will really understand it emotionally until they go through something similar. But I just really want to make sure you feel like you've given an opportunity to just share how amazing and impactful this has been for you.
I appreciate it. I think I don't know. I feel like it's still, and maybe this will change, but I think it's still just very deeply personal. I don't know. I mean, I learned a lot, but I don't think that there was nothing profound that, other than sometimes do things scared. I don't know. I'm glad. I think that fear kept me safe for a very long time, growing like in the past. But I think that I'm excited to be able to look at fear a little differently now. Sit in fear and not just run from it.
I appreciate you taking the time. Appreciate you, sharing with, and hopefully this lands somewhere, right, for somebody. But ultimately, I think it was just nice to be able to, sit across the room with you and kind of talk a little bit about the things that I'm excited about and the things that are exciting in your life, and, how we're navigating this not only together, but also independently. Because there's a lot of people out there who don't know what's next because of fear. They don't know what's next because they don't want to do it, and hopefully this is just an opportunity to inspire that maybe a little bit. But yeah, I think ultimately, guys, I just want to say thank you so much for sitting in this conversation with us. I don't think that this episode had all of the answers, but it is about noticing, I think, what changes when you give yourself an opportunity, when you give yourself permission to slow down, and then you choose to live differently, as life continues to move forward. So if you're listening, and something in this has resonated, maybe with the season that you're in, or a decision that you're carrying, or a voice that you've been listening to or not listening to, I hope you take that with you, personally and gently. Leadership, guys, is not about momentum. It's about integration. And hospitality starts with how we make room for growth, for clarity, and for each other. And so if this podcast has been meaningful to you, the simplest way that you can support it is by following the show, subscribing, and of course, sharing it with somebody that you care about. This is a small podcast by design, right? It's built to find the ears that it's meant for and to grow a community of leaders who care about doing the work the right way. And if that sounds like you, then you're already a part of it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening with intention. And wherever you lead next, at work, at home, or in your own life, do the right thing and be a great person.
This has been an episode of the Genuine Leadership Shift. If you found connection in this episode, we would appreciate a share. We would appreciate a follow along, and make sure you get this out to the people that you feel need to hear it too. We're looking to grow a community. We're looking to create presence. And honestly, I'm just looking to learn and grow alongside with you. So give us a follow, give us a like, and let's build this together. Do the right thing and be a great person.